We're back. We're continuing our conversation with the great Sam Faddis about, among other things, what Joe Biden has done for the money he's received from the Chinese Communist Party. Sam is, of course, an undercover Central Intelligence Agency operative in a former career. He has taken on the job of documenting so many of these important stories at andmagazine.com. And you were enumerating some of the value the Chinese are getting for their suborning of the president of the United States. I want to continue with you, Sam, about Afghanistan, a place where they are clearly not only taking advantage of access to our splendid Bagram Air Force Base, but also gaining access to these lithium deposits. What's the value of that to them?
Yeah, well, this is another example of on the list of things that he's done for the Chinese, right? We are now very aggressively shoving the country toward this reliance upon electric vehicles and the batteries that go with them and so forth. So that means a reliance on rare earth minerals. It means a reliance on lithium because lithium ion batteries are at the heart of this. The Chinese already effectively have a complete stranglehold on these minerals. So we're going to give up dependence on Middle East oil, I guess, and now have an entire economy built on substances that the Chinese Communist Party can shut off literally anytime they want. And we just gave them a vast boost in Afghanistan because they're on the ground there right now negotiating with the Taliban and surveying these mineral deposits. We report on that all the time. We have handed them, literally we're handing them a knife to hold to our jugular going forward. And we're going to trust Xi Jinping that he won't ever use it.
And Sam, we're already seeing the use of some of those supply chains to our detriment. I want to come back to something you touched on there a moment ago, the Taliban. You have described at End Magazine the reinstitution, if you will, of the Dark Ages by that jihadist, Sharia supremacist terrorist group. They are doing it evidently not only for the internal impoverishment of their people and oppression, particularly of their women. But they're doing it with other jihadists, it seems, using our money, using our weapons to build out a new and far more capable jihadist offensive capability. How much more dangerous do you think this is going to get?
Frank, we've gotten used to over the years, I guess, talking in terms of administrations and how they spin the news or they spin any sort of set of facts. What we have in the Biden administration is, we've transcended that. We don't have spin anymore. We just lie outright, bald faced, completely about everything. So in Afghanistan, we're told we have the Taliban 2.0. They're business-like. They can cooperate with us. They're not so bad. None of that is even remotely true, right? Internally in Afghanistan, the Taliban, shut down schools for girls over past sixth grade. You can't play music. Women can't leave the house. Go more than a certain distance without male chaperones. They can't fly on planes anymore without male chaperones. I mean, this is all straight out of the 1990s. It's the same game plan. And meanwhile, they are building, as you indicated. Yeah, and well, yes, it's there were that's exactly right. They instituted the sixth century back in the 90s, and then we're back to the future, right? So along with that, they are building a giant army with lots of money that they have. Let's keep in mind the Taliban are the biggest heroin dealers on earth. That's not exaggeration. That's literally true. So they're up to their eyeballs in money from drug sales. They've got all this equipment we left. Now they get the Chinese helping train operatives. They are building a very efficient, large, dangerous, capable force. It isn't to defend Afghanistan from external threats. That's not what this is about. It's to spread jihad.
And Sam, what's particularly worrying in all of this, of course, is that the Taliban is getting help. Al Qaeda, the guys who got us into this fix originally in Afghanistan with their attacks against us, mounted from there with the help of the government and the Taliban, to be sure. They're back, along with ISIS and evidently other jihadist elements, all of whom seem to want a piece of that money, a piece of that weaponry, a piece of the training that they can now get in a safe haven called Afghanistan. Um, how serious a problem is all of that?
100%. Every terrorist group on the planet of certainly every Sunni extremist terrorist group on the planet is represented in Afghanistan. The Taliban is taking no action against them. They are facilitating this. We got huge numbers of Taliban coming out of Pakistan to training camps in Afghanistan to train so they can then go back and light Pakistan on fire. But I would say we're back to pre 9/11. If that's not true, that downplays it too much. This is worse than the situation before 9/11.
Sam, there's another problem that's getting incredibly very little attention, it seems to me, and that is something that the Biden administration also did as part of its appalling surrender of Afghanistan, which is to import, by some estimates, 100, 125,000, mostly military age young men. Some of them seemingly Taliban or perhaps other jihadists. They are now being disseminated all over this country in communities large and small. They are presumably going to be taking up arms at some point against us from inside the United States, a problem that would make what we faced on 9/11 pale by comparison, would it not? What is your sense of the magnitude of this particular danger?
Well, again, everything that the administration has told us about this is a lie. I'm sorry. That's the God's honest truth. I mean, no meaningful background checks of any kind were done on most of these people because there's no way on earth to do such checks. Against what records in the midst of this crisis did you check the bona fides? You have no idea who you threw on the plane and flew over here. And then since then, you've just let them walk off these military bases. What the guards, not the
Sam, we're hard out of time. We're going to come back to you next week for more. Thanks for your visit with us today. And thanks to the rest of you for joining us for this edition of Securing America. I hope you feel better equipped to do just that and that you'll learn more about what you can do at securingamerica.tv and then go forth and multiply.